Hello there! Welcome to my library and papermaking guide for Dwarf Fortress. In this video, I'm going to explain how to set up a library and how to make all the necessary items to make it work. Also, I have a couple of tips and tricks for you to make the library and the paper industry a little bit more efficient. So let's get started with the easy part, how to set up a library. We draw a meeting area across the room that you want to be the library, press the plus sign, new library, and we have it assigned. First step done. The library needs furniture-wise bookcases, tables and chairs, and chests. That's what we're going to install now. The bookcases will store the books, obviously, like the name implies, and they are basically required for the storage of finished works. The chairs and the tables are needed for the writing work itself, so you're going to require these as well. And the chest is going to be the place where we are storing the materials to write on, like the scrolls and squires and the stuff. So that makes up the entire basic furniture of your library already. So with that, you have everything installed that you require. To make it now truly work, we will have to employ a couple of people here. The scholars are the people who write new books, so they sit around in the library, think about things, talk about things, and eventually write a book. The scribes, though, are a different bunch. They take the completed books and they copy them. Here in this area, you can tell them how often they are supposed to copy each book. So here the standard setting is to create 2 copies of each book, so you can trade them away to other traders and civilizations and whatnot. Here we can select how many chests and how many writing materials there should be, and that's pretty much it. The quality of your scholars and librarians is totally depending on their mental skill set and could fill an entire video on its own. But in a nutshell, they will write about things that they know about. So that's that. What's also worth noting to say about the library is it's normally open for everybody. You can limit that to citizens as well. If you welcome all visitors, outside scholars can visit your library, write a book there, and leave it in your fortress, in your own possessions. Quite easy. All they require is a container with writing materials for them. Just one thing I want to note before we go into the paper making thing. If you open your library for everybody, that could also mean that the friendly neighborhood necromancer drops on by, writes a book about that, and leaves you with the problem of your dwarfs suddenly all learning necromancy. Just wanted to point that out. Sometimes the knowledge that gets dumped into your fortress might be not necessarily what you want. Alright, so let's talk about what we require for the library itself, because obviously without stuff to write on, there's going to be no library. So the 2 types of books that we can write on are scrolls and quires. These are both made out of paper, so let's start at the beginning. Paper can be made out of 2 different materials. First, plant materials. They will be first milled into a slurry and then pressed into a sheet at the screw press. So these are the jobs that you need for paper made out of plants. If you want to go for parchment, which is leather, you will require a ashery that makes you one step back. You require a kiln which makes quicklime out of different stones that can yield that. Just need to check on out here. Chalk and limestone and all these can provide that. You make quicklime, you need a bag for that. Then you make milk of lime out of that. You need a bucket for that then, and with the milk of lime you can then go on over to the tanner's shop and make parchment out of that hide instead of leather. So it's either parchment or leather. You must really take care of that in your work orders so your leather production doesn't nab away the parchment. You need to configure that accordingly. So once you have either paper sheets or parchment available, your journey goes on over to the Crafts Dwarf workshop. So at the workshop we can create scrolls and quires. The quires are made here directly out of the plan sheets or the parchment goes directly one piece of paper, one quire. The other thing you can do is you can make scroll rollers out of various different materials, and together with a piece of paper and scroll rollers you can make, well, I'd have already guessed it, you can make yourself a scroll. But no scroll rollers, no scroll. So the scrolls are a little bit more difficult to produce. You need the paper and the scroll rollers, but well, the quire is an unbound book, whereas the scroll is already finished. Once a quire has been finished, once a quire has been written upon, it's not done yet. So the order of events is people take the quire or the scroll and write on it. If it's a scroll, they're done with it. If it was a quire, you need then to take the written on quire back to the craftsdwarf's workshop and bind that book, and then it transforms into a codex. To bind a book, you will require a book binding. So you can make that, for example, out of metal or various other metal materials. If you want to know what you can make them out of, I would really recommend you to make a tour here into the work order. There's a lot of materials to make your book bindings out of. Then book binding and a piece of thread and a written on quire transform into a book. And that's that. And then you have your codex ready. And this codex can then be copied yet again, and here goes the cycle. What's this all good for, you might ask yourself? Dwarfs love reading books, and it entertains them. Also, this is a meeting place where your dwarfs get together and have some fun with those books. Now for some things that might help you. First of all, what really helped me out was the fact to know that in the standing orders you have a automatic weaving. And so automatic weaving isn't so far bad, as it transforms every piece of plant material that you might want to use into thread, and there or the thread directly into cloth. And that's really not what you want. These automatics really hurt you. In my scenario, I have made a couple of work orders where I'm now weaving manually, basically, or via the work orders, and that really helped me out, because before I did that, I basically never had the plant material to make my paper out of. And the other thing that's a little bit of an exploity thing, but well, I want to introduce it to you. So writing books really takes a long time, okay? So all in all, you might be also unhappy about your scribes and scholars not doing what they're supposed to. The interesting part here is you can install a lever at your library and then assign that lever to your scribe or scholar. So we do that. There we go. And then what we're doing next is we're going to pull lever on high priority and assign that scholar solely to that duty. And what happens now is a little bit of a dwarven mystery. Your scholar goes now over to that lever and he starts pondering, or he starts writing, or he starts talking about things. The weird thing is, as soon as they are bound to that task, they start doing what they're supposed to do. Can only have one dwarf per lever, by the way. And don't worry, they're going to take care of their everyday needs. They're going to drink and do their things. You just need to attach them to that lever. And if you notice that they might get stuck, just delete that, but they shouldn't. Also, be patient with your libraries. It takes time to write a book, and with these things here, you should be going in no time, though. There's one thing that I wanted to note here as a last thing before I outro this video. At your farmer's workshop, you can also process sheets into from plants. If you have papyrus on your map, you're a winner. Papyrus is pretty cool because you can totally skip that whole milling, this whole slurry and pressing step. If you have papyrus, you just need to harvest it and process it at the farmer's workshop. Boom, paper. That's by far the easiest way of making paper in the game. So I hope you found this helpful. I think I might have forgotten to note that the codex requires thread, but I don't know if I've said that. Anyways, now I said it, the codex requires a bookbinding and thread if you are struggling with that, because I forgot it. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Drop me your comments down below if you have any questions or any things you might want to add into this whole topic. I'd really love to hear from you. After all, every part of Dwarf Fortress is quite deep, and therefore there's always more to learn. Also, leave a thumbs up on that video if you enjoyed. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. There's daily content coming up from my side, and if you like that one, chances are you like the rest as well. I also have a link to the playlist of all the other Dwarf Fortress tutorial videos, so you might want to check that out as well. And a big thanks to all the supporters of this channel. You guys make a lot of wonderful things happen here, and I deeply appreciate. If you want to find out how to support the channel, there are links to Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee down there, and I'd be super happy if you check them out. But if you don't, either you don't want to or you're not able to afford, don't worry. Watching this video to this point already helped me a ton, and I deeply appreciate it. So have a wonderful day. See you guys next time, and